Hello, family and friends. Welcome to Laclede Relics. I'm your host and historian, Eric Tudor. Today we're going to be talking about the Gasconade Hotel. Most of you might know where the skate park sits today at the Gasconade Park. That was a core part of our city's history, and one that we're going to share more about today. Everything from the Great Discovery, to the planning and the building, to all good things must come to an end, and concluding on yet a new great discovery. We can't talk about the Gasconade Hotel without talking first about Lebanon's magnetic water. Now, to start this story, we've got to go all the way back to 1887, when New Lebanon's well was first dug near Commercial and Van Buren Street. The founding forefathers turned the Frisco Railroad down for a small parcel of land to build the depot station. We've talked about that on a previous episode. So the old town businesses picked up and literally moved to New Lebanon along the railroad track. But we needed a new well, not only for the railroad, but for our growing city of New Lebanon. The Lebanon Water Works dug two wells. The first was 475 foot deep on the back right-hand corner of the waterworks and electric plant. The second one was what became known as the magnetic well, at a depth of 1,000 feet. The hotel gets its origins from what I will call accidental fate. When they were digging the city well, that worker noticed that his pocket knife stuck to the pipe that the water was flowing through. Lebanon had magical magnetic water, folks. Maybe going 1,000 feet deep, they tapped into something magical or mystical. A large, cold source of water that was encapsulated in a quartz bed with magnesium, and it was alleged to be magnetic. Now, truth is, we still don't really understand what they hit that made this happen. Sure, most will say magnetic water, that's just a myth, a legend, something made up, selling snake oil. But somehow, they managed to magnetize the pipe, and it wasn't the water per se, but when the water flowed through the pipe. So maybe there was something there, maybe not. Because you see, even back in those days, there were those that doubted it. But in the short time the Gasconade Hotel was open and using the magnetic water for its natural healing properties, there was proof, there was something to it. Scientists from all over, including all the way from Washington, D.C., came to Lebanon to take samples and test it. In an issue of Engineering News, Volume 20, which I found online, states the water temperature from this well was 61 to 63 degrees, about 5 degrees warmer than water in most ordinary wells and cisterns around the area. Well, over 75% of these scientists and investigators agreed there was something very different about Lebanon's water. The Gasconade Hotel was to soon be built by the same company that already owned the Lebanon water and the power plants. Now, these business owners, along with some other investors from Kansas City and St. Louis, had their finger on the pulse of the growing New Lebanon. So the Gasconade Hotel would be built, not only as a hotel, but as a sanatorium, and afflictions and people with diseases could be treated by Lebanon's healing water. Now, some would stay a weekend. Others could stay up for 30 days for treatment. We had doctors in St. Louis, Chicago, and Kansas City actually prescribing their patients come to Lebanon for a stay at the Gasconade Hotel for the benefits of our magnetic water. Built for the sum of about $110,000. The building would be 200 foot long and 50 foot wide. It would be 3 stories tall with a full basement included. It boasted dining halls, wraparound veranda porches, both male and female individual bathhouses, a gymnasium, bowling alleys, a swimming pool, and even ice houses. Each and every room of the Gasconade boasted also in pre-advertising steam heat with incandescent electric lighting. Here are some extremely rare interior photos of the Gasconade Hotel. And I have to give thanks to Donnie Rafe and Kirk Pierce, who shared these with us for use. To have a room with heat and lighting may be very expected today, but keep in mind in 1890, that was a major draw. We still, of course, didn't have air conditioning, but that is why the verandas and the covered porches were so popular, and it was so designed, so people could go out and enjoy the fresh air. The water mains were 8 inches. Fire hydrant pumps could then be added by design. which at the time, 14 double fire hydrants were put in place. Here's a new slide that I uncovered of our fire department in about 1896. It consisted of 15 volunteer members. It had one hose cart on a wagon and one single 600-foot hose. Also, already established and still being completed was the Magnetic Ice and Bottling Company, just to keep up with this accidental find, this phenomenon. So in an advertising blitz as this starts, sending the message all abroad of Lebanon's magnetic water, the cures, and the beautifulness of this new envisioned Gasconade Hotel. Here's a couple more articles and photos of rare Gasconade Hotel letterhead papers and a photo with some of the visitors who stayed at the hotel in April of 1893. Originally, horse-drawn carriages would bring railroad visitors and patients down Commercial towards Van Buren Street, the small trip leading directly to the front entrance of the Gasconade Hotel. However, shortly thereafter, tracks were put in place from the Frisco train depot and run down Van Buren Street to the Gasconade Hotel there on 4th Street. They used an electric trolley car on the rails to transport people back and forth. Just within a few years of opening, this elaborate electric trolley car replaced that horse-drawn carriage. And it was to help show tourism and Lebanon's advanced, more way of technological thinking of the future. Since the Gasconade Hotel already bragged it had electric lighting and steam heating that was in every room, a convenient upgrade, and doable since the Lebanon Electric and Water Company also essentially owned the hotel, that was an easy mix. Now, just to show how important this forgotten fragment of Lebanon's history was, here's a full-blown 3D model of the Gasconade Hotel that was, I believe still is, displayed here at the courthouse. And it was built years ago by a resident historian, Otis Harrison, a testimony of some of us that want to keep Laclede's history alive, although for many decades, so much has been destroyed. But alas, all good things must come to an end, and the Gasconade Hotel lived a very short life. Just 3 years after opening, the Gasconade Hotel was already losing money. This was due to the wonderment of magnetic water kind of being questioned and losing the allure across the nation. Fast forward to early 1899, just 9 years after being constructed and built, for about $110,000, it sells to the manager for only 1/10 of the cost, $10,000, to revamp it into a new college of that once grand structure. Then during the renovations and reopening of the college, tragedy strikes. The Gasconade Hotel was starting to lose money. They decided not to be open all year round, and instead they became seasonal, closing down for the fall and winter months. This, of course, took place in late November, early December, when they were having a fire built in the chimney. The fire had spread to the roof through a crack in the chimney, and the building was rapidly devoured by the flames as helpless Lebanon residents watched. Now, you remember earlier on I mentioned we had a established fire station, a department with like 16 volunteers and one horse-drawn wagon essentially, and one 600-foot hose. Keep in mind the Gasconade Hotel was 3 stories tall. The fire was on the roof. Try as they may, they could not get the water up as high as what they needed to. So the Lebanon residents all rallied around to try to fight this fire. They ran to the fire hydrants and turned them on, but nothing came out. They had later learned that due to a defunct bill, the water had been shut off to the Gasconade Hotel for possibly months up to that point. So literally anything that survives from the Gasconade Hotel is extremely rare because most of it burnt up in that fire. Now, Lebanon residents quickly assembled at a meeting to discuss what they could do to try to repair what was left of the college or the Gasconade Hotel structure that was being converted, giving stirring speeches of sympathy and appreciation, as well as testimonies of former patients. They all rang out. College representatives were assured of the cooperation of the townspeople if a plan could be made to keep this college alive in Lebanon and somehow be able to salvage what was left of the structure. A campaign to raise money for the building, a new college, got off to a brisk start. Within only 1 week of the fire, 72 subscribers had pledged a total of $5,200 for reconstruction purposes. 2 weeks later, unfortunately, the donations ceased. Not another single cent was raised. So they still owed about $50,000. The college held a temporary headquarters, but interest soon died completely. With the burning of the Gasconade Hotel, Lebanon's vision of becoming a college town, much like Columbia or Springfield, spiraled out of existence. Now with the passing of the old academy decades ago in Old Town, and now with this attempt as well. Now the Gasconade Hotel is almost faded out of memory for most, but with several incarnations over the past 100 plus years. First, the hotel ruins were removed, and in its place, the Gasconade City Park was created, aptly named. Number two, later in the 1940s, this was Lebanon's first public swimming pool. A lot of people don't remember that, and it was all the way up into the 70s. And one of those iterations being the addition of the Hughes Senior Center. And most recently, in the last few years, past Mayor Josh Ray led endeavors to march to keep the park alive, and converted it to what we now call the skateboard park, an attraction for the younger generations. But most do not realize the rich history that lay beneath their feet. I recently had the opportunity to meet a gentleman by the name of Daniel Bledsoe. Now, he and his wife accidentally made a mind-blowing connection with this story, and it is one I simply must share. So several months back, the couple were leveling off an area for their tent campsite when they stumbled across what to date is approximately 200 intact magnetic water bottles and hundreds of others that are broken. I also did a quick interview with Daniel for the show a few weeks back, but due to timing constrictions and such, and our cutoff date, we weren't able to include it all. But if you're interested, we'll certainly try to post a link for you to listen to, and if you want to know more, we invite you to do that. I want to thank everyone that helped me with this research for this particular episode. Lisa Junebug Campbell, my cousin, Brad D. Hilton, Donnie Rafe, Kirk Pierce. This would not be possible without all of your help, and I'm sure I'm probably missing out on a few others. Tell us in the comments what you've learned today or anything that we might have left out. Be sure to like, comment, share, tell your friends about Laclede Relics. And until next time, I'm your host, Eric Tudor, along with my editor extraordinaire, Ryan Shear. Together, we invite you down another trip of memory lane that you can only find on Laclede Relics.